it's me, Bradley G, the man, the myth, the legend. The legend. Guess what? We're going to be talking about some more magic and perception today and conspiracy theories. So stay tuned.
Greetings, Internet friends. Welcome to another episode of the Synergy Cafe online show, featuring speaker, entertainer, close-up illusionist, and marketing alchemist, MagicBrad. It's the Internet lifestyle show about career, finance, relationships, spirituality, and wellness. We're moving the online chatter over to real-life activity. And now, please welcome your host of Synergy Cafe, MagicBrad.
Cheers. So how in the heck are you doing today? I woke up this morning. I started thinking about some of the things that happen in this world, whether they be those, like some of these movies that have been coming out. And everybody, the political scene starts talking about their anti this and that. And it's really kind of weird how people are believing this kind of stuff. And it happens on the other side too, which is interesting because you're basically taken truth and flipped it into the lie. So which is the truth? How do you know? There's two sides to every coin, you know? So let's find the guru here himself. Somewhere Neo is in the room. George.
I'm here.
George, you're the one. You're the one. You're gonna help us figure this thing out.
That's right. That's why I'm here. I'm gonna show you both sides of the coin, and then I'm gonna make it disappear.
Dun, dun, dun. Some people even forget about the edge of the coin. They realize there's an edge on it because they have two sides to every coin. And that's part of the problem with our duality thinking, getting right into it,
right? Is
they think that there's either one or the other, and they don't think outside of the box. They don't even think maybe there isn't a box.
Yeah. It's this idea of perception that, you know, if you just take the coin, for example, people forget that even though there's two sides to a coin, it's still the same coin. You know, here's another reference people use all the time is, hey, we're the poles apart. If you are different than somebody, you'll hear people often say we're the poles apart, but people forget it's the same magnet and it's the same force. You're just on opposite sides, you know? Right. So we're not really that. We're still the same thing. We're still seeing the same thing. We're still seeing the same force, regardless if it's a conspiracy theory or it's the truth. And it just depends on which side you're on.
Well, that's what brought this up because I woke up this morning because I went to see that movie. I forgot what it's called, Freedom something or other, about the child trafficking and all that stuff.
Yeah. The Sound of Freedom, I think.
Yeah, that's what it is, Sound of Freedom. And some people are talking about how that's, you know, the things with Hollywood and all the corruption and stuff in there. And other people flip it around and they look at it from another point of view. And what if the whole thing was kind of created by somebody higher than that sort of put people in the right places so that a person thinks this certain way? It's kind of like what a magician does. There's an effect that magicians do. It's called a sucker effect. Where you're doing this magic and then all of a sudden like the drape comes loose and it exposes it.
Mm-hmm.
And then they show something else and you find out that wasn't the exposition, the explanation for it. The magician was leading them down this path where all of a sudden they saw, I saw a glimpse of the secret. And then they find out that wasn't it.
Yeah, it's interesting because, you know, the same elusive tricks that are used in magic are the same elusive tricks that are used in propaganda. You know, and I think it was Goebbels, the infamous Nazi propagandist, who said the bigger the lie, the more people believe it.
I just watched Oppenheimer yesterday.
Okay, well, here's an interesting one. There was a recent clip on the Joe Rogan program where they brought about the picture of the Oppenheimer bomb in Nevada, and they showed this house that blew up. Everybody remembers that from like the 60s or whenever that was, right? But he shows that clip, and there's like a car, and then there's not a car. And then they show that thing blowing up, and he's like, why is there solid beams blowing up? And so the conspiracy theory behind the Oppenheimer first actual just blows up in the desert is that there was no nuclear bomb. And isn't it interesting? And I'm not saying I believe this, but I'm just saying the current conspiracy theory is there's no such thing as nuclear bombs. And that, isn't it interesting that the world is desperately trying to shore up this idea of a nuclear war between Russia and the United States? there was a video that just came out about the falsity of there being a nuclear bomb on Joe Rogan, which is like the biggest podcast on the planet. And now there's a new movie about a nuclear bomb. It's weird. That's all in the lexicon like that. It's it's fascinating to think about. I don't know what's true or what's not true.
Well, that's kind of my point. That if there is somebody that's pulling these strings on this puppet show and stuff, you wonder why are they doing this kind of thing? What's the end result out of it? If it's some multi-millionaire that's running the world with all of his little trickery, couldn't he maybe just go buy a nice boat and a nice car, enjoy his life instead of fucking around with the world?
No, I don't think you can. I think that, I think there's something to be said about people need conflict in their life. And the only way to get people to get up and go to work every day is to scare the living bejesus out of them. No one wants to live a life where you get up and you're a slave, or you get up and you go do things.
I agree.
Here we are in the West, where we have it really, most Western cultures, rich Western cultures, have it really good in life. You got water that comes out of the tap. You have things to do. But if you live in a third world country where you're going to be mining cobalt from the age of 5, how do you keep this system running? Well, the same way they kept the plantations running, through fear. And you can do it now through this window of a computer. You can do it through giant multimedia, and you can get people to do it. You can get people to love their slavery, right? There's a great book called Propaganda, which comes out, and it explains the way in which you get people to think things. And I just think that there's so much propaganda that happens all day, every day, in every country, that we can't get away from it.
I'm in agreement. There's definitely, like you said, two sides to the coin, and the magnet has the polarity to it.
Sure.
If you live your life in bliss, you need something to compare it to, so you know that it's bliss.
Yeah.
Unless you get into that third space of nothingness, and then you can create from that. And to me, that's like the Trinity. Or not the Trinity, but there's the male energy, then the female energy, and that creates a third entity.
Yeah.
So you got the North Pole and the South Pole, and it creates this other thing, this controversial thing. That's why the world or the universe vibrates back and forth. I think is that everything is in its wobble.
Yeah. It's the whole polarities, and it's sometimes you're at the North Pole, sometimes you're at the South Pole. There's peaks and valleys, and we see that pattern all the way through our lives and the world we live in, and the way in which the sun, or which the earth moves around the sun, and like in a strange wobbling motion that's never really the same.
Part of what brought this into my head this morning, because I knew that you and I are doing this thing.
Yeah.
You deal in the whole the hallucinogenic stuff.
Yeah.
That why is something like that illegal? Why do they put people in prison for just eating some little vegetables that make them see things funny?
Well, it's a great question, and there's a lot of ideas. In the 60s, they thought there was this saying that said, turn on, tune in, and drop out. And in a lot of ways, I'm a big fan of psychedelics, and I try to have a long-lasting relationship to them. And I think on some level, it does pull the scales from your eyes. Like you start watching stuff, and and let me explain how it pulls the scales from your eyes. I believe that when you take psychedelics, it fundamentally changes your sense ratios. And what I mean by that is, in the world where we have been ruled by the printing press, we were given this idea of exact repeatability. The printing press gave people in positions of authority for the first time the ability to give proper authority and give ideas to people without them thinking about it. If
in the masses.
In the masses, absolutely. It used to be that a storyteller would stand up in front of a crowd and explain or try to paint a picture in people's minds. But now, if you go to the movie theaters, you're sitting in a semi-heightened state of awareness where you're very receptive to all this information coming in. You're no longer thinking about what is possible. Instead, you are having a corporation that has an agenda with millions of dollars provide you a message that you don't have to think about. And it's very entertaining, and it's very successful. I think that psychedelics strips that away, and it forces you to be like, you know what? I don't believe any of this. It changes your sense ratio. So it allows you to kind of have a few things. Once, it's an enhanced sensory perception. It allows you to experience the world in new ways. There's a shift in cognitive processing. I think it's a form of altered communication. A change in sense ratios would lead to an adjustment in how we communicate. Cultural and social changes, I think, would happen with sense ratios, ethical and philosophical considerations, adaptation and integration, impact on industries and technologies might be the big reason why they keep people away from psychedelics. If we move towards collaboration instead of a hardcore competition, I have more than you, I'm in the middle class, you're in the lower class, I have a boat, you have a car. It takes away that sort of, tunnel vision. And so that's my opinion of why it's illegal to have it.
But when you have that they, who is they?
It's a great question.
I
I think
know.
that, well, I would say that they are I would say, from my opinion, I think it was, there's a great quote that says, government is the shadow cast upon people by business. So I would say that the heads of multinational corporations and boardrooms, maybe the top 10 people in every corporation, if you look at the way there's interlocking boards of directors, it's not uncommon for, Carl Icahn to be on the head of like 12 different boards. Like, what's that guy doing on 12 different boards of 12 multinational corporations? Well, he's clearly knows what's happening at this company. And if this company knows what's happening at this company, and this company knows what's happening at that company, it's not too far to think that they may not be working hand in glove to further their profits for what's best for them. It's not too far to think that, who's going to school at Harvard together? It's a big social network. Who's going to school at Yale together? It's a big social network.
But do you think that these people are just trying to the thrill of competition, the to get more and do better? They're trying to get a bigger bottom line.
No. If you look at, I think on some level that's happening, but I think at the very top level, you see consolidation. I think that it was some of the robber barons who said competition is a sin. Competing? What are you talking about? Why would we compete when we can fix prices and we can all win? There may be some high level ego going on at the very top.
I agree with that, but don't you think it might be ignorance? People realize or thinking that collaboration is for sissies and I want to conquer. I want to win. I want to win the game, the whole.
Yeah, well, maybe you can. I don't thoroughly understand the question. Maybe you can break it down for me.
Well, I agree that collaboration is the way, because that's what my whole thing about synergy collaborative. It's if your mom and dad collaborated and poof, they had you.
Mm-hmm.
They worked together. They didn't compete with each other.
Right.
But look at how popular sports is. The whole idea of I conquered. So it's an ego thing rather than hey, let's walk down the street together and build a better widget. It's like, I'm going to build a better widget and stomp your widget out. So it's an ego thing, a superiority. I don't like all these entrepreneurs going, I'm going to crush it.
Yeah.
Crushing it. What do you mean you crushing it? Why are you crushing it?
Why don't you build it instead of crushing it? There's just something else that psychedelics do is they break down the ego. They make you understand. Another point.
All of a sudden you realize that we're all one.
Right.
And why am I trying to conquer my other?
Yeah. Well, the people at the very top, they love the idea of rugged individualism. And why wouldn't you? If you're at the very top, it's very easy to look around and be like, these guys are all a bunch of weak dummies that don't even work hard. I made it to the top by working hard, sleeping under my desk, because I'm bigger and stronger and better than everyone. That's how I got here. That's a real easy story to tell yourself if you got there. And same for the guy on the bottom. The guy on the bottom's like, listen, man, we should collaborate more, because that guy doesn't have anything. But the truth is, most people are in the middle. And, why is it that so few people win and so many lose? I think it has to do with that story of you've got to compete to be the best. But the truth is, if we're all working together, we can still compete. We can have friendly competition and move everybody forward at the same time.
But see, I think there's a big illusion in that too.
Okay.
Like the 1%, there's these people like the Elon Musks and the Bezos that are these multi-billionaires.
Yeah.
They're successful.
Right.
There's hundreds of thousands of other people that are getting by fine.
Right.
They're doing like $50,000, $100,000 a year. they're also successful.
Yeah.
So it depends on what you want to classify successful as.
Right.
And that's part of the problem, I think, is people like us are chasing this dream.
Yeah.
Whereas I was in a networking thing once, and a guy up in the front, he says, if you can make $1 over your expenses, you're financially free.
Hmm.
And then all of a sudden I thought, well, shit, my expenses, I own my own car. I don't have very many expenses. It would take me about, $2,500 to be, I could do that.
Yeah.
So that's all I do now as far as my business stuff is I work on passive recurring and scalable income that's over my expenses. And now I don't have to worry about punching that clock or buzzing to work or looking for jobs and stuff like that. I just keep that momentum going. That's all it is. So am I just as successful as Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk?
Well, I guess it comes down to whatever you decide, right? Like you
I
can be
don't
more
have
successful
to
than them.
answer a bunch of flaming tweets every day.
Yeah. Yeah. You're not responsible to shareholders or, in some ways, the more things you have, the more things own you.
Absolutely. The higher you go, the farther you fall is the thing that's in my head.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the richest man in Babylon, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Interesting thing, because it does come down to the perspective of things. And going back into the whole hallucinogenic kind of thing is that gets you to a place like disclosure. I've never done anything, any hallucinogenics other than a piece of blotter acid when I was in high school.
Yeah.
And I did not know any better. But what it does, it doesn't necessarily, it's not going to kill you.
Not at all.
But it makes you start thinking differently, and you get this all of a sudden this enlightenment, this idea, just the concept of being making $1 over my expenses, I'm financially free. Everybody's striving to be financially free, and they probably are, but they got to have that Starbucks and that motorcycle. If they just scale back, they're financially free. Work on making it rather than saving it.
So yeah, here's another aspect of it. Like, for anybody who's interested, you can look up videos online, or if you have a farm, if you take a chicken and you put its beak to a chalk line, that chicken will be mesmerized and it will stay there. It won't even move. It's paralyzed. And it's an interesting state of affairs. That chicken will not move from that chalk line. It will stay there and almost pass out. The same is true when we are chasing money. We stay in the zone. I got to have this car. I got to have a bigger house. If I want a wife, I have to have this much money. If I want kids, I got to go to this school. We become the chicken on the chalk line when we focus our life on money. It's such a good analogy. Psychedelics allows you to step back and be like, oh my God, I am wasting my life building someone else's dream. I'm chasing money. Like, think about the concept of money. If I go to the grocery store and I give someone money, they give me all the goods. So, money is like it's this weird abstract idea that we believe provides value. And the only real value in money is that we believe it's worth something.
Well, money
take that away.
Money is just a measurement system for energy exchange. I have energy in my body, so I can create something like this podcast, or I can do a magic trick, or I can go out to my wood lathe and make a bowl. I can sell that bowl because my energy is in that item now, and exchange it for someone else's energy that had a job working for the fire department or at Target department store, and we exchange with that thing called money. Here's $1 million bill. I got some right here.
Nice.
This is $1 million, but what is it really worth? What's this really worth?
Whatever someone's willing to give you for it.
Pretty much. So if I gave it to someone and says, this says $1 million, but it's good for a beer. Next time I see you, I'll buy you a beer.
Yeah.
It has value. It's just a piece of freaking paper.
Yeah.
Money is nothing but a byproduct of energy. And we got a comment here.
Oh, nice. Who we got?
About Eckhart Tolle. Let's talk about that. Being in the moment. Absolutely.
Yeah. Eckhart Tolle. He's so I would like to tell everyone now.
And then
be here now.
I love watching your podcast. I always watch your podcast wearing my Princess Leia wig. And the Hello Kitty thong. Okay.
Nice. Nice. Can you send us a picture?
Could go viral. Yes.
Well, it's an interesting analogy because I think in Return to the Jedi, Jabba the Hutt goes out on his ship and he throws Luke Skywalker down this giant pit. And it seems like that's kind of your life if you're chasing money. You're just in this forever giant pit that's swallowing you and slowly digesting you. And I think that can be people's lives if you just chase money. I really think that if people could begin to understand that your time is a vastly better, more important resource than any kind of money, it'll change your life. It'll shift the way you see the world. And, here's something that I learned when I came from California. I lived in San Diego my whole life, and I'm bombarded by, Hollywood and billboards everywhere and TV commercials and radio commercials and just this constant bombardment of ads. And, when I moved to Hawaii, I realized because there's no billboards, there's no Hollywood right there. I really began in California, it was like, if you didn't move out of your house by the time you were 17, good luck getting a girlfriend. If you didn't have a car by the time you're 18, good luck getting a girlfriend and being successful in life. When I came to Hawaii, I realized that most people live with their parents. Some are like 3 generations in one house.
Right.
And I was like, wow, what? These people have no motivation, and I really looked negative on it. But the longer I've been here, the more I realized how wrong I had it and how right they had it. It's so much better if you have a kid to live with your parents or your grandparents, the family, like the son and the daughter can go to work. The kid can stay home with grandma and grandpa. The mom can do some cooking. The dad can do the yard, and everybody can contribute to a village type household. It's a million times better system than what we have in the West.
Let's drill down on that a little bit.
Yeah, please.
The concept of money, because money is basically just an illusion. It's a perceived value thing. And if people are chasing that, they're chasing this illusion.
Right.
Because if you're in the desert and say you're jogging in the desert
mm-hmm.
and you're getting all hot and sweaty, and then all of a sudden, I'll send this in later.
Yeah.
you're running, and all of a sudden you got this $1 million and you go, God, I wish there was a lemonade stand or something around here.
Right.
So what's the $1 million worth? It's worth nothing. What you're looking for is a glass of water, maybe, because you're thirsty. So the money has no value out in the desert.
Yeah.
So what you got to do is you find a glass of water. And maybe our friend Mike, he might have a glass of water and he'll do an exchange with you. So are you a jogger?
Me?
Yeah.
Not so much. I used to do some jogging and running. Now I just do pull-ups and push-ups.
Oh, well, look at this.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I'll tell you what. I will send you my socks, Mike. I'll do it, man, for a small fee. And you'll love them. You will. They smell like old cheese.
It's an energy exchange. Mike's got some money. He can exchange, and we could enlighten his olfactory system with a treat.
Well, here's another. As if we stay on that case, money has a discount rate. The older you get, the less it's worth. And beyond that, if people really want to understand the strange concept of money, start listening to some death doulas. I've spoken to some people who sit with people in their last days. And you know what people never say in their last day of life? They never say, I wish I would have worked more. They never say, I wish I had more money. But they do say, I wish I would have been a better father. I wish I would have been a better mother.
Right.
I wish I would have spent more time with my family. I wish I would have taken more trips.
So it's in the purpose thing.
Yeah.
Do you think if you had like an abundance amount of time, but you had no purpose, you think the time would have any value?
I don't know. I mean, it's an interesting concept because time is a construct as well, right? Like time is valuable if the time has a lot of variables in it, and I don't know how to really square purpose and time.
Well, I guess it's what are you doing with your time? Are you just sitting there staring at a dot on the wall? Or are you out serving the community or making people laugh or something that's purposeful?
So here's a little parable that I think speaks to that. There's this young man, and he lives in a small little fishing village way out on the Mexican, I don't know, on the Mexican coast somewhere. And one day, a businessman shows up in his giant limousine, and he comes to this man's fishing village, and he goes fishing with the young man. And they go out to this one spot for like 10 minutes and they are just, whoa, they're loading up these tunas. And the businessman tells the young fisherman, this is an amazing spot. You know what you should do? You should get more boats and then come out here and fish this spot every single day. And the young fisherman's like, why would I want to do that? He's like, well, you would do that because then once you got enough fish, then you could bring them back and you could start your own processing plant. You could sell those fish to the cities. He's like, well, why would I do that? He's like, well, once you started up your own process, you come out here every day, you catch all the fish, then you start up your own processing plant. You can send them to the cities. Then once you got big enough, you can start sending them internationally. You could have your own factory. And he's like, well, why would I do that? And he's like, well, you could come out here and fish. You could go to the city, set up your own processing plant, send them globally, and you could start an empire. And he's like, well, why would I do that? He goes, well, if you did all that, by the time you were in your 60s, you could retire and live a life of luxury and enjoy your family. And he's like, I'd do that now. So like, what's the point? And I think that's what psychedelics do. Like, what is the point? Ask yourself this. If you're out there listening to this, why are you getting up and going to work every day? Because you have bills, because you're chasing your tail, trying to do something. Because we've all been told a lie. We've been sold this bill of goods. We have been sold the water in the mirage. It's not there. There's no water in the mirage, but you chase it all day long.
In defense of the liars, what if it wasn't a lie? It was just that's all they knew, and they just pass it on because you should get a job when you get out of high school so you can make money and you can get married and have a family, and we're just trying to guide you. And they didn't realize that they could just do it a different way.
That's a great point.
I learned it early on when I lost I worked for the county parks department, cutting down trees and mowing lawns, and I lost my job, and I thought I'm just going to be a full-time magician. I learned early that having a job was a risk. They can lay you off.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to be slave. I didn't want to be a wage slave.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a good point. I didn't learn until later in life how much the system doesn't really care about you at all. It's you are a number in today's world, and numbers don't have emotions. Numbers are replaceable. And the moment you begin to not perform as a number is the beginning you start to get replaced. The squeaky wheel gets the grease, but it's also the first to be replaced.
Well, if you look at stuff in the essence of things, in the hourly compensation thing, if you're hourly compensated, there's only 24 hours in a day, so you're limited. And you can only get so much per hour because your employer, the person that runs the whole show, they're only willing to pay you X amount of dollars.
Yeah.
And they get to decide on your productivity. Essentially, they're buying your knowledge and experience and wisdom at wholesale and reselling you at retail at a profit. So if you want to do that, then I guess go get a job, but it's limited. There's a box around it. Whereas being self-employed, like my magic gigs, I can charge anywhere from $50 to $50,000 if I get the right gig.
Yeah.
A magician friend of mine that passed away, he did a production for the Super Bowl.
Whoa.
Sure he got $50,000 for that.
Yeah.
So it's possible if you go that direction into more abundant thinking. And I'm thinking that that's what a hallucinogenic kind of thing could do, is expand your possibility.
Yeah. I think it opens up your eyes to the reality that's right there in front of you. It's just that we don't ever see it. And I think it speaks to I think there's the relationship. One of the relationships between magic, psychedelics, and the life we live is conditioning. If you look, I think back in the early 1900s, the United States brought in the Prussian school model. And what I mean by that is they needed obedient workers. And so they adopted a system where kids sit down in a class in front of an authority figure. They're trained by bells and whistles like Pavlovian dogs.
I was going to say, was Pavlov Russian?
Yeah. It's that same system. And I'm not saying it was done out of spite or they needed obedient workers. What are they going to do? They're going to train a whole country of them. But that model has outlasted its usefulness. And I think that psychedelics speaks to the idea of creativity. I think that what we need right now more than ever is an explosion in creativity. And I think that's why you're seeing this rise in psychedelics. I mean, we still listen to Fleetwood Mac. We still listen to the Rolling Stones. We still listen to all the music and all the things that happen when people are doing tons of psychedelics. So why shouldn't we bring that back?
Yeah, there definitely is an awakening that is happening, a different mindset of things. It's one of the things that's frustrating to me when I see people that have limited thinking. I don't know why it is that, but
Hmm.
when like the word can't, well, we can't do that. Are you kidding me? Like early on when I first got married, she was very obedient as far as
Hmm.
crossing the street. You know, you
Hmm.
wait till the blinking light is done.
Yeah.
Like no cars.
Let's go.
Sunday morning, there's nobody around. Well. No, why? We
Yeah.
can't do that. What do you mean we can't do that? Watch.
Yeah.
It's not that hard.
Yeah. Can't is the cancer of can, right?
I guess it would be. Yeah,
It
a
is.
four-letter word. I don't, you know.
Yeah. But okay,
It's just
that kind
limited
of
thinking.
it is. Yeah, limited thinking paves the way for a limited life.
Yeah, you're
It's your
kind of
own prison you're building.
well. That's kind of what brought this whole like when I sent the message to you this morning or
Yeah.
yesterday, and then when I woke up this morning, I started thinking about those that kind of thing that the expansiveness. Like it's weird that you're going to do a drug, but
Mm.
it's not really a drug. It's a plant.
Mm.
Like the synthetics and stuff, I don't like that idea. It's a man-made kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
like any kind of like a pharma kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They're in there with test tubes and stuff, figuring, okay, if we put this in there, it's going to do this to that. And
Right.
I'm thinking, nah, I'd rather try some kind of vegetable.
You know what? I've been toying with this idea as so for people who may not know, in your brain you have these things called neurotransmitters like dopamine, serotonin, and it's like this little inside your brain you have this key that fits a lock, and that's pretty much what a neurotransmitter is on a really
Yeah.
layman level, right? So and when that particular neurotransmitter fits in that lock, you get a feeling of happiness. Like dopamine's going to make you happy. Oxytocin's going to make you feel in love. Adrenaline's going to make you fired up. But why? I think that mushrooms, psilocybin in particular, is a form of like an exogenous neurotransmitter. Like, why wouldn't there be nutrients outside of our bodies that we put into our bodies that change the way we think? The same way we have these chemicals in our brains to make us feel good. Why wouldn't we have them outside in the planet? Like when we eat food, we get full. You know, when we go for a run, we get endorphins. When we see colors, it makes us happy. So why wouldn't we have food or things outside of our body that fundamentally change the way we think?
Well,
Like
I
that's
think we do.
I agree. Yeah.
I think we do,
Yeah.
but there's limitations that people have put on stuff.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, coffee, it gives you that little caffeine boost, and that's a chemical reaction inside of your system.
Yeah. And it comes from a plant.
Right. And there's other stuff. I mean, even the thought of like having a strawberry. Some people like strawberries. It makes
Yeah.
you happy.
Yeah. It makes my mouth water.
The sensation. So why not take it a different step further? And there's something in there that does some other kind of neuro. I don't know the technological term for it, but I understand the little connectors
Yeah.
in your brain. It's just a bunch of circuits and little switches. Is don't do this, do that, don't do that.
Mhm.
A little operator inside of our head going flipping switches.
Switchboards, yeah. So here's another thing I've been thinking about too. A lot of the times on psilocybin or different types of hallucinogens, you'll see your pupils just boom, they'll get really big. They'll be totally dilated. And I tend to think, this is just my working idea, you know, the more light that gets into the lens, the more information you get. And it's sort of like for photographers, they understand this thing called camera raw, like the shutter's really wide open and it's taking a picture of a lot of information, even though when you look through the lens, you may not get it all until you look back at the photo and be like, oh, I got all these photos in here. I think the same thing is happening on psychedelics where all day for that heightened state of awareness, whether it's 3 hours or 9 hours, you're walking around with your pupils dilated. I think you're taking in way more information than you normally would. And that's allowing you to process information differently, whether it's a small social cue of someone's forehead crinkling up, or it's a slight smile or a slight frown. You're taking all that in and you're processing it, and you may not know you're processing it. And I think that that's what leads to a heightened states of awareness. That's what leads to an extra sensory perception, is the fact that you're bringing in more information. You're able to process. And I think if you build a relationship with psychedelics and you do that all the time, Now you're building up parts of your brain more like a muscle, and that particular extrasensory perception is becoming something you use all the time.
Now, is that so? I just lost my train of thought. Where the heck was it? What if you close your eyes and you just have imagery,
Yeah.
things that you see in yourself?
Yeah, that happens all the time. A lot of the times people talk about seeing mandalas or, three-dimensional or three-dimensional objects. And my idea about that is when you close your eyes, or sometimes on a really strong trip, you can have your eyes open and I will see like a geometric
Right.
floating tesseract right here in front of me. And I've spent a lot of time thinking about that.
That, that's what I mean. I think that the universe
Mhm.
is actually digital,
Okay.
in that in the beginning there was nothing, and then
Mhm.
all of a sudden that nothing decided to um, make itself manifest. So you had to put a circle around it. Now it's got a definition,
Yeah.
and then it said, "I'm lonely out here by myself. I'm going to create another one," and it creates two circles, and now you got two. Now you're starting to create this, like the sacred geometry thing.
Right.
You end up having the building of the seed of life and the flower of life, and then the dimensionality and the Torah, and all of a sudden energy's going. Yeah,
Yeah.
God, I'm not even doing anything right now. My mind's taking off on a psychedelic trip.
Well, I think Francis Crick, the guy that invented the double helix, the guy that figured out that that's what the DNA strands like, that guy was high on LSD when that vision came to him. And when you speak about seeing images like that, I believe that psychedelics reveal truths to you. You can go to a class, you can go to Harvard, you can go to Stanford, and you can learn from people. But I think that the true learning comes from the world revealing things to you. And in those heightened states of awareness, here's a mental exercise anybody can do. Close your eyes and try to imagine a three-dimensional square or a diamond. And now think about all the points where those things come together. If you do that long enough, now you can take that mental image and use it in your life as a map. Try to think about how that three-dimensional diamond fits into your relationship. At what point does your relationship with your wife correspond to the point at the diamond on the top? And if you were the point on the top, how would your relationship look to the point on the side? When you see these three-dimensional objects, what they're really showing you are different points of view. Put yourself in each corner of that diamond shape and see what the other part looks like.
Right, like this view. Like, here we go.
Yeah.
Like that view is really teeny. You can almost can't see it.
Yeah. Hang on one sec. Keep showing the crowd. I'm gonna get. I have a cube. I'll show you.
Okay, get the cube. He's
I'll
going to
get
get
the
the cube. So that's one dimension. Looking at things from like a two dimensions. There's from here to here, and then you find the other dimension. This dimension. It's a lot deeper than you actually thought. Let's see the cube.
Okay. So people, I printed this from my 3D printer, and so imagine if you're here, if you're on this edge, from here it just looks like if you just see one dimension of it, it's like a square within a square, right? See, so from here it looks a lot different versus right here, versus right here, versus this way, versus that way. So, this is the kind of imagery that you would see on a psychedelic trip. You'd see this thing floating in front of you, just like, whoa, what is this thing floating in front of me? Well, maybe this thing is trying to tell you should look at your life in a different way. Maybe this thing's trying to tell you this thing that you think is a horrible mistake in your life, this person that left you or this kid that died or something in your life, maybe you're looking at it the wrong way. Maybe if you look at it from here, maybe you're the square in the middle instead of the out-facing square here. Maybe you're not taking time to look at another dimension of your life. But I think that's what the 3D imagery in a psychedelic trip can show you. It can mean a lot of other things, but that's one of the things I think about when I see that kind of stuff floating in front of me.
The research I've done, the videos I've watched, oftentimes the psychedelic stuff, it's got that geometric pattern to it.
Yes.
Different colors, spectrum of colors, and geometric stuff.
Yeah.
So that goes back to, like, in the beginning, and there was nothingness, and there was the Big Bang, and there was the realization of that one point.
Right.
And then there was another point. Now there's 2 points. Now there has to be a connection to those points. So there's that first line. Then you got a third point. Now you got the triangle. So you got all these different points that are all over in the universe. There's different places in this geometric pattern. So the reason I bring this up is you got all these little points. And we'll call them like molecules. How's that?
Mhm. Yeah, perfect.
Or atoms. Atoms would
Okay.
be better. So if there's a finite amount of time or infinite amount of time, then there's a finite amount of matter. The probability of molecules and atoms rearranging in the same form again is probable
Yeah,
in infinity.
of
That
course.
to me, I think, is where deja vu comes from.
Oh, okay.
The world has rearranged finally in my consciousness and said, "Oh, I remember that black cat walking across the hallway. A little
Yeah,
glitch in the matrix."
I like it. I like to think of deja vu as time traveling. Whenever you get a sense of deja vu, I think it's you coming back to remind yourself that you learned something. Like, oh,
Yeah,
I
that's what
get,
I mean.
yeah, right.
It's a coincidence. It's happened before. It's going to happen again. So be aware of it because you're coming back to home. You're getting familiar again.
Yeah, yeah. I think that we are beginning to build, and that's why I'm so hopeful for the future. Is that I really think we're moving into a time where we're moving away from barbarism. If you just look at our past and we talk about barbarians and the Middle Ages, like we're still in the Middle Ages. And 100 years from now, we're going to look back and like these people were barbarians. The one thing that we do as humans, the one thing we always get right is that we get it wrong. Like the planets are not in glass cases. We are not the center of the universe. Neither is the majority of our history accurate. So we are living in barbarism right now. Like we are Neolithic creatures, and we're just crawling out of the trees right now and trying to figure things out. But we think we think we're technological geniuses, but we're not. We're children.
And even if we are the center of the universe is big. We're missing out on a lot of stuff by focusing on ourselves.
Yeah, I don't like getting back to the idea of things being revealed to us and more light coming into the iris. I don't even think we can see, we can only see a small spectrum of light, right? Who's to say that the world around us isn't filled with magical creatures and miracles happening all around us all day long, but we just can't even perceive them?
There's definitely that. I with my life, a lot of times I take things and I boil them down to the ethics and logic of things.
Okay.
Think about it. Being creative and collaborative rather than conquering and competing. Being collaborative and creative, you're creating more.
Yes. Yeah.
Whereas if you decide to do the evil thing and conquer, like say you're on a desert island and you just love playing tennis.
Yeah.
So me and you are on the desert island, and I play so many times that I eventually kill you. And I win. Now I'm on the desert island all by myself.
Yeah.
So I think it's a good idea to be collaborative and creative rather than trying to hurt people and steal and kill and maim and stuff, because someday you'll be alone.
Yeah, there's been some interesting studies done with rats and mammals where they'll watch them play. And I guess rats are really playful creatures, and they've done a few studies where the male rats will come out and play, but the biggest rat, he will lose purposely to the smallest rat like 30% of the time, because if he doesn't do that, then the little rat will never play with him. And the same thing is true for us. Like if you never win, you're going to stop playing. And I think that on a grand scale, the people that are playing at the highest level, like, at some point in time, if you have $1 billion, like if you're going to start from here and I'm going to start from here, there's a chance I could catch up to you. But if you start from way up here and I start from way down here, I'm probably not going to catch up to you. Not because you're a million times better than me, because you started way ahead of me. And so we've created this system where there's a lot of people that race to start up here. And if you start down here, you're not going to play. And even if you're here, you're probably still going to stop playing. And I think we're getting to a point where a lot of people are stopping to play the game. And that's when you see collapse happen. That's when you see the cities be vacated. That's when you get to see people that are like, I'm not going to go to work. What's the point? There's no point for going to work.
With the COVID thing is all of a sudden people had that realization that I don't need a job.
Yeah.
I just start selling other people's junk they leave on the sidewalk or give away on Craigslist, and I can make enough to pay rent. Why should I get a job?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that that's a big part of what's going on now. Like if we take it all the way back to propaganda and the ideas that, people need to go to work. Like I think people were like, when COVID came, I know for me, it was a real wake up call for me. I'm like, I'm up at like 4:45. I make breakfast for my family. I take my kid to school. I leave my house at 6:15. I go to work for 12 hours. I come home. Everybody's sleeping. I'm paying my bills, but I don't have any time to myself. And like, I hate my life. Like I hate this job. I don't even want to do this. This sucks. And I think a lot of people had that idea and they just stopped. They're like, well, you know what? I'm not going to do it anymore. This is really ridiculous. And I think that what you're seeing now, like this, hey, man, there's going to be war. You got to go back to work. Hey, man, there's inflation. You got to go back to work. I think that the people in positions of authority are desperately trying to get people to come back into work. And if you need more evidence of that, let's look at what the Luddites did. The Luddites get a bad rap. The Luddites were like artists that lived in the hills that were like, we're not coming into the factories. We'll work out here in our houses and we'll do the stuff when we want to do it. And they were corralled. They were forced in to go work in these factories as slaves. That's why they blew everything up. But it took a lot of work to get people from the hills into the factories. And that's what we're kind of seeing the reverse of that now. People are moving back to the hills. They're like, I don't want to work in your crappy city, at your crappy job, making crappy money, making crap for people. Like, I don't want to do that. There's no beauty in it. Productivity robs people of creativity. The people in positions of authority don't care one iota, not one iota about the people that work for them. They despise them. And I think that's the problem with the world we live in today.
Well, I think the CEO is changing. Like
I hope so.
There's that one guy that I can't maybe remember his name or the company or anything, but basically he said, my employees are going to get the same wage I get.
Now you're talking.
And that's what everybody got. They got the same wage and they continued to make shoes or whatever the hell the guy did. Because like I said, money is just a byproduct of energy.
Yeah.
If I love cooking and I'm great at making salsa, I just partner up with the gardener that can make all the cilantro and the tomatoes and stuff, and I just start making salsa and give it to the neighbors, and they come over and they go, hey, I love that salsa, here's a cake.
Yeah.
I got this old chair, I don't need it anymore, you want to put it in your garage? Then you don't need any money, you just kind of do stuff for each other. But then you still have to have the money for the government to take care of the streets so you can drive around and stuff.
Yeah.
So we just gotta govern our government a little bit better.
Yeah. There was I never understood, like a while back, there was like this big hubbub about the employees at Twitter. Like there was a video of this girl's like, so I go into Twitter, they have daycare. And, I go and I meet with like 3 of my groups and then I grab a glass of wine, eat a burrito on the roof. And I come back down and talk to the people for a little bit. And I remember everybody was ridiculing these people. Like, and one of the things is like, I can have as many days off as I want. They don't really care. And I'm like, that sounds like an awesome place to work. And it seems to me the only reason people were pissed off because they didn't have that job. Like,
Yeah.
What if there were more of those jobs? Like, we're getting mad at the wrong people. Like we shouldn't be mad at people that can go to work and have a beer and talk to people and solve problems versus the guy that gets up and, Elon Musk is a huge fan of like, listen, man, I sleep under my desk and I work the hardest and I'm the smartest and I'm the best. And I find time to have a million children with a million different women. I don't know, man. Maybe that guy's really smart, but I don't buy his work ethic. I don't think that guy started from the bottom and made his way up. Like that guy's parents owned a freaking emerald mine. If your parents own a literal gold mine or an emerald mine, don't sit here and tell me how smart you are, how hard you made it, how you made everything from the bottom. You didn't. You did not start at the bottom, man. You started way up here.
But maybe he started up there, but he still loves working.
I think he loves having kids with women he doesn't know, man. That guy's got like 1 million kids. And every time I open up the newspaper, he's having a kid with another woman that he already had a kid with. And on top of that, I don't even think the women he's getting pregnant are, I think they're all test tube babies, man. Like, what's up with test tube babies, Elon? That's just my take. I don't know.
Maybe he's starting a laboratory.
Maybe he was hanging out with Jeffrey Epstein and they were doing it together.
You never know.
I know. It's crazy, man. Sorry for my ranting. I'm on one today.
You did, because if you shift the coin, maybe it wasn't Epstein that had something malicious going on. Maybe Elon was just over here and he's spreading the seed and growing the community.
Well, if you're the smartest man in the world, Don't you feel obligated to have as many kids as possible?
You're talking about me?
Well, us, I mean, Well, I think that's what Elon bills himself as,
No, I
right?
don't think you're obligated. Just because you're this, and define smart. There's a different kinds of smart.
Exactly.
I think if you take it down to the essence, just don't hurt people. Don't be
Yeah.
mean. Don't kill people. They're going to die anyways. Why do you need to kill them?
Yeah. Yeah, let them
Live
be.
your life all the way out. So we don't need hitmen. Hitmen should probably find a different job.
Yeah.
And I don't know that we need like prison guards and stuff either. Let them people out. They'll kill each other. They're doing it all the time. They're doing gangbang and they'll kill each other.
Oh, I think George Carlin had a pretty good idea where he said, we're going to fence off the middle America. We're going to put all the drug addicts over here, the child molesters over here. And then every 2 years on the equinox, you have a little gate that opens up and they can move places, and put it all on pay-per-view TV.
Well, there you go. There's another idea. If you want to jack cars and stuff and go into prison, well, here's the gate. You go in there and do it.
Yeah.
Now on pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Pay $9 to watch the fights.
Everybody would watch it.
That's basically UFC and Fighters Island. You got a couple people in there making money. They're in a cage fighting with each other.
Yeah, not that much different than the Roman times, right? When they had the Colosseum and
gladiators and stuff.
Yeah.
No, not really. As long as you're not forced to do that, but there's people that want to do it.
Yeah.
They want to get in the cage with some other guy that's got tattoos all over his face and everything, and he wants to kill you and you want to kill him. And then we're just doing it for entertainment. We all contribute our $9, and now there's $1 million prize, and they get to have $500,000 each. Thank you for entertainment.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a win-win situation for everybody.
This is the kind of thinking, and I don't know if I need any hallucinogenics because that's how my freaking brain works.
Nice.
But when I'd see all these carjackers and the porch pirates and all that kind of stuff, and they're stealing things, and I thought, okay, the government can't do this. The cops get there late. The person's already gone. Why don't we set traps for criminals?
Oh, okay. I'm listening.
We're not going to kill them. We're just going to trap them.
Okay. How do you trap them?
This is a game, just like the NFL, the football game.
Mm-hmm.
This is a game. I'm going to try and catch the criminal. Now, the criminal has given permission for us to catch them just by committing the crime.
Okay.
If you come into my property, I'm going to try and catch
you. Yeah.
And I set up a snare. I got a super soaker with super glue in it, and I glue you together. And I put you in a cage in the backyard, and I feed you because I don't want you to die.
Right.
And you're my pet.
Perfect.
And now this can be a competition. It could be Minnesota versus Hawaii. Who can catch more criminals?
Yeah.
Will it be George Monty or MagicBrad? And now
we could sit down and talk about our. Yeah.
How many criminals did you catch this month, George? I got 59.
Right.
61. I win. Yay. Minnesota's going to the Super Bowl. I'm going to catch a bunch of criminals. Go ahead. Step on my property. I dare you. You can set up a little Amazon package on the porch.
Mm-hmm.
You reach for it. A rope goes around your ankle. Oh, got him. Oh, I caught another one.
Yeah, it wouldn't take too long before people stop committing crimes, right? You would think.
Unless that's what they love doing.
Or unless I really wanted to be the Super Bowl champion of criminal catching and I just started picking up kids and be like, they're criminals.
Well, we could create a website around it and we could profile them and stuff, and they could be like the person that got caught the most times or something. You could flip it around. It doesn't have to just be about the good guys. We create a leaderboard for the bad guys too.
That's a good point.
They do that when they go to prison. So what are you in for? Oh, I raped a bunch of people. I murdered stuff. I used to knock off the banks and stuff. Millions of dollars I stolen. They brag about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Why not? Let's have a leaderboard. We could do a whole Running Man game, like on the old Arnold Schwarzenegger movie.
Well, see, there you go. That's already been done. But that's in the movies. We got to do it real so that people can start making money by catching pirates, the porch pirates.
Here's something that may be happening already. Like, what do you think about people that go to prison and get drugs tested on them?
Getting drugs tested on them?
Yeah.
If it's with their consent, I think it'd be kind of cool.
What if it's not with their consent?
I think that's wrong.
How come you think that's wrong?
Because you're imposing your things on someone else.
Hmm.
Unless they knew that that was going to happen. If you go into prison, you got to at least know that we might start testing drugs on you because you're now a prisoner.
Right.
You just gave up all your rights because you stole that package off that old lady's porch.
Yeah.
Shouldn't have did that.
Yeah.
Inject you now.
Yeah. It makes me wonder, like, I've never really looked at the different laws, but I know, like, in the Middle East, if you sometimes, or at least I've read this, I don't know how true it is, but if you're a thief, they can cut off your hand.
I heard that.
What if the laws were like that here? Would there be less crime?
It depends because some people love risk. They love the gamble. They'll gamble millions of dollars in Las Vegas just for the thrill. So if they're addicted to the thrill, they lose their hand, they got another one.
But only 2 chances.
Well, then they can start stealing.
Get double or nothing one time.
I stole a cell phone.
Yeah, it's interesting, this idea of crime and punishment, right? Like, obviously we don't want to incentivize crime, but we kind of do. Like, if you look at the stock market as crime, like, there's a lot of crime that goes unpunished if you're too big to fail. If you're
corruption kind of stuff, or like
sure,
like, the using tax loopholes to not pay taxes. It's not illegal. Anybody can do it.
Well, I don't know if anybody can do it because it kind of takes a team of lawyers to thoroughly understand the tax code. And then it takes, well, I don't know that you do it on a level that.
No, but I could work my way up there and get more knowledgeable and start making more money and then hire a team of lawyers so that I can do big stuff. But right now I write off my mileage.
Yeah, I don't know that you could ever work your way up there. I think that might be a little bit of wishful thinking.
Oh, you think I got to be one of those Harvard lawyers or something to be able to get up there and get to know somebody? And
I think I think you got to start. I think you got to start in the in group in order to really make it to the top level.
You can do it. You can go to Hollywood and be an actor and get invited to some exotic island and then get bribed or blackmailed because you touched a 16-year-old girl and you didn't know she was 16, but they got a picture. Now you're stuck in the loop.
Do you think you could do that?
I might not know that I did it. I just wanted to go to this cool tropical island and have a beer with Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
Somebody was documenting everything I touched.
Yeah, I don't know.
I didn't know
happen right now.
16 either.
Well, now you know now. We're gonna have to cut your hand off. Right? I didn't know. I didn't know. Yeah, it reminds me of a joke I heard one time. This Irishman dies and he finds himself at the pearly gates and he's being judged, and the Irishman says, "Oh Lord, had I known that it was wrong to drink as much as I did, I'd have never done it, Lord. Oh Lord, had I known it was wrong to cheat on my wife, I would have never done it. Oh Lord, had I known it was wrong to steal that money, I would have never done it. If you just let me into heaven, I know that I know now that I would never have done it." And the Lord looks at him in his infinite wisdom as he's sending him to hell, and he's like, "Well, now, or something along those lines." But it's interesting to think about that idea of had I known.
20, right?
Yeah, exactly. But maybe that's why we're here. Maybe we're here to learn. Maybe we're here to make mistakes and learn from them while we're here so that we don't have to learn them again. Some people say that, there's this thing called generational trauma where we are constantly trying to fix the mistakes of our parents and our grandparents. And if we can do that, our kids don't have to do it.
Well, when you think about why are we here, let's take it back to the very beginning when there was nothingness, and don't put any emotion into it. Why did nothingness want to be here? It already was there, just wanted to be manifested in physical form. So that's why we're here. Just to be here.
Yeah. Is that what you think is going on? Like what?
I think the purpose is to create and connect.
Yeah.
I think everybody's purpose is to create and connect. That's why you see all these people want to create these groups and communities. They're always creating
Yeah.
groups. There's so many freaking groups. If they'd all get together and create one group, we'd have one big group. But instead, there's a groups of 3.
Yeah, it's interesting. I've been reading a lot about sense ratios, and I think that the future you're seeing, like I hear this word collaboration all the time. StreamYard just came out with this whole new collaboration feature on StreamYard, and I really
That's how we
believe
met. Collab.
that's how we met. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and it seems to me like, and this is just me speculating, but that's the future of technology platforms. It's going to be this, like, and I think StreamYard, if you're listening to StreamYard, thanks a lot. I think this is one of the first people to do it. Hey, here's our customer base. Let's let them all be together and see what they do. And I think that you're going to see YouTube do it. You've already seen kind of Facebook, like that's what Facebook was before it came so commercialized. It was a place for people to go and meet and collaborate. Now it's more of like a place to sell ads. But, I think that that's the future. And I think you're going to continue to see this growth happen. It's kind of fun.
Well, I've got this thing called the Synergy Collaborative.
That's right.
And my challenge with it is getting people to understand that they should be liking, commenting, and sharing the posts of other people instead of pushing their own self-serving agenda all the time. Because Facebook does not like that. Because Facebook wants to sell ads. Facebook wants it to spread. That's why there's that share button. The like doesn't do nothing, in my opinion, other than let you know that you're connected to that person. And if you comment, that creates juice. There's words in there. If you share it, that takes that whole big thing and puts it in somebody else's room.
Yeah.
And now you've duplicated by sharing. And
that's a great point.
Mark Zuckerberg's got all these servers and these employees to pay, so he's got to monetize it somehow. It's been free. So how's he he's got to do ads or something. He's got to do something to charge. People ain't donating. I got a free Facebook account. He hasn't got a penny from me until I advertise.
But doesn't he have all your information too? Like, I mean, he has all your likes. He has a wealth of knowledge on who you are. He can sell that information, right?
And he does sell that information. So a lot of people don't realize that they've given up all their information so that marketers like me can market to that specific graphic area and interest. And I can try and sell shit to you because you're on the Facebook platform and Mark gave me permission to pester you.
But okay, so it's an interest targeting ads, right? Like I'm on Facebook too, and I've used the targeting ad system. It is magnificent. It is incredible to understand how you can target someone. And it's weird that in this world of wokeness or in this world of like equity and equality, on the surface, we say we want everyone to be equal. But you know what? I can go into Facebook and I can target a race. I can target a demographic. I can target a gender. I can target a certain specific sexual preference. I can target all that with precision.
Right.
But that is not a problem for equity. That is not a problem for equality. But just think about the term, I'm going to target this group. What it just seems like it doesn't fit together. How can we have a problem with racism, targeting things, but then advertisers can go and just target people all day long?
Well, it boils down to intention. If my intention is to target you and then try and sell you something and take your energy or your money and then give you a bunch of bullshit that isn't beneficial to you, or if you're a diabetic and I've got a super product, a way to get insulin, and I connect you with that so you can cut your insulin cost in half, the intention is good. Know what I mean? That's what your intention is.
Yeah, but it's almost impossible to improve it. It's almost impossible to prove intention.
Well, you can't prove it. I don't have to improve it. You just have to believe that I'm doing it with good intention.
And now we're right back to propaganda.
Well, is propaganda a bad word?
I think it has a negative connotation to it.
Because it's manipulative?
Yeah. I think that if you're trying to sell somebody something based on fear, that you're probably a horrible company and a horrible person. It's not too much.
I don't like the fear.
Right.
The whole thing, fear of missing out. Buy now because everything's almost gone. It's like
you care about your kids, right? You should get this thing. You know what I mean? Or you care about your family, get this. I think any company that uses fear to sell, everybody, we should all boycott them. That would be a great thing for us to do.
I boycott them. I don't go for that.
Yeah.
If you tell me that there's, that this is the last one, that you mean after I buy this, you're out of business?
That's funny.
I don't believe it.
Yeah.
Or if they have something like, seating is limited. Sometimes it is, but you know what? You're going to be doing this again next week too. It's that lie that people are using. That's the propaganda.
Yeah.
But if your intention is good, it's like my collaborative. It's a month to month. It's $97 a month. If I don't do a good job for the month, don't renew. I'll do it again. And if you really want to whine, I'll give you your money back. But I try.
Now you're talking. Yeah.
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 There should be some kind of guarantee of results there.
Yes. My daughter and I were walking through the store yesterday, and she picked up something, and on big blue letters it said clinically tested. And my daughter's name's Sky. I said, Sky, what does that say? She says clinically tested. I'm like, which clinic do you think they tested that at? And she just looked at me, starts laughing. She's like, I don't know. I bet you they made it up. I bet you they didn't test it at any clinic, And she started laughing. And I'm like, I was just telling her, like, look at that's so funny, right? Like, they think you're so dumb that you'll just read that and be like, it's tested at a clinic, and people do it all the time and they use it. And companies pay marketing firms to come up with those kind of lies to trick the average person who's so busy in their life. Like, and you know what? Maybe this idea of collaboration, I think I'm going to do a video that has a call to action for people around the world to boycott companies that use advertisement like that.
Well, you have to be real clear on advertisement like what?
Yeah, you're right, because that would be false advertisement, right? Like, in technically, clinically tested isn't false advertisement because they could have tested it at a clinic in their garage. Clinic is like a very free-flowing word. Like, it doesn't have, it's kind of, it's blob-like.
That stuff. I see like the number one software in the world. Says who? Have you tested them all?
Yeah, right.
So I don't like using that kind of stuff. My thing is together we accomplish more. That's my little subtitle.
Team, yeah.
Together we accomplish more. That's true.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, I like it.
But if it's not true, let me know, folks.
Yeah, I think I remember seeing T-shirts like that with like TEAM, but it was together everyone accomplishes more. It was like an acronym for team.
Well, maybe I'll start using that. I didn't really think. I remember seeing that.
Yeah.
I also remember seeing a thing that says there's no I in team. You ever see that?
But there is a me.
And there's also an I in team. Someone got creative. Let me draw it for you.
Yeah, please. Let me see.
Let me draw it for you.
Okay.
Let me draw it for you. I'll draw it right here.
Okay. TEAM.
TEAM. You're going to like this. This is the kind of stuff that I like. Can you see the word team?
Uh-huh.
Can you see the I?
Oh yeah, I can see it's in the A.
That's right.
Wow. Yeah.
Colored in.
There you go. There's an I right there. It's hidden.
There's an I in team.
Man.
Don't tell me no.
That one. So much for that word of wisdom.
Well, there's a lot of those things that you flip them around. Like what is it? I was thinking about it as I drove to yoga this morning. A guy once said, and his name was Bruce Lee. He said, "The usefulness of a cup is in its emptiness."
Yeah, be like water.
Makes total sense. With this cup, now that it's empty, I can put milk in here, water in here. I can put marbles in here. I can put my head in here. No, I can't.
Yeah.
That's why I have a hard time when anybody has any absolutes. The only absolute I know is I am. Everything else is
Mm.
an illusion. It's all perceived reality and belief. Everything else is I just know that I am. I don't know what form. I don't know where. I don't know when. But I just feel this consciousness in myself. You might not feel it. You might feel your own.
Yeah, well, it makes sense whenever you get too tunnel visioned, or any sort of absolutist thinking really provides you with less options. You become really rigid when you have those ideas of absolute thinking in it. When they say when you start dying is when you stop learning. I think that speaks to that.
They say you're either ripe and rotting or green and growing.
Yeah. Yeah. So we should be thankful for the tragedies in our life. We should be thankful for and maybe it helps to see the tragedies. Maybe it helps to see the difficult times in your life, not so much as a difficult time or a tragedy, but a learning experience. And I think that can shift your focus on, okay, what can I learn here? Gosh, this really sucks. But what can I learn here? What is the world trying to teach me? How can I get through this? What is a lesson I can move forward from this? And if you can shift your focus into that particular view, I think it'll change the way you see the world and help you move forward.
It's a mindset thing. I did a
Yeah.
post like that where it said failure is the realization, or the failure is the discovery of things that didn't work.
Mm.
There's nothing wrong with failure. It's just another
Yeah.
step. You just keep
Yeah.
moving on. You
Yeah.
can't fail if you don't quit.
The only thing worse than someone who quits is someone who's never tried.
Yeah, that's quitting early.
That's quitting early. Oh yeah. Yeah. It's an interesting time. Like I feel as I move through the seasons of my life, I'm constantly being challenged and I think it's a good thing. It's a good thing to find yourself on the ground and getting up. Because it's easy to feel great about yourself. It's easy to feel as if you're crushing it, like our friends like to say, when you're at the top. But I think it was my friend Rocky in Rocky 4 who said, nothing hits harder than life. But in life, it's not about how hard you can hit. It's about how hard you can get hit, get up, and keep moving forward. I think it's a pretty good way to look at it.
Yeah, and if you're going to fail and fall, you might as well fall forward.
Yes, agreed. Very true, my friend.
Well, with that, maybe we should sign it off, seeing we've gone for an hour and 12 minutes. Not bad, huh?
Man, it flies by. You're fun to talk to. Thank you for that.
Me too. I think we resonate.
I think so too.
Our friend Mike, and this is probably my friend Mike, the cartoonist.
Okay.
And then this guy, he came from YouTube.
Nice.
Glad he's there.
Yep.
And then we had Mike Marcello, that
He's cracking me up, this guy.
he was the character.
Yeah. He's got the jokes.
Yeah. He's just having some fun. Fun on
Yeah, all of them, man. I'm super stoked that everybody took a moment to comment and chit chat with us. And I wish there would be more people that would come and comment to us and we could have more jokes and more fun. So I'm super thankful for everybody.
Well, we'll have that conversation sometime soon. I'm going to put you in the old green room, and if you want to stick around, I'll chat a little bit further. Other than that, I'm going to sign this one off, my friend.
Aloha, everybody. Have a fantastic afternoon.
Thank you, Mr. George. There he was, the man, the myth, the legend, and his own podcast. That's in the description below if you didn't see that. We've got that linked in the bottom. And we didn't even talk about the Celestine Prophecy, but that was something I had mentioned. But we went there, that's for sure. Okie dokie, that's it. That's all for now. This is MagicBrad signing off. Enjoy your day. Be good, be kind, be nice.